I want to start things off actually by talking about a bit of a personal anecdote, which I think underscores the importance of talent data. Back 7 years ago, when LinkedIn reached out to me about a job, I wouldn't say that I was at all an obvious fit for the position they were hiring for based on my experience. I had been working in social media marketing at nonprofits, and they were hiring for a tech sales position in a city that I wasn't currently based in. But I was increasingly using LinkedIn as a platform, not just for networking, but also as a news source and as a place of learning. And thanks to that, there were signals essentially on my profile about my identity, my affinities, and my intent when it came to my career aspiration. And thanks to those signals, a savvy recruiter was able to uncover my profile to hire me. And ultimately, I was a good enough for LinkedIn that I'm still here 6.5 years later. But imagine how many profiles that one recruiter had to parse through in order to find a profile that was a fit, but not one that fit within the norm of what she was hiring for. It's really difficult to essentially uncover new opportunities for hiring innovatively and at scale in a confident way. And in order to do so, you need advanced AI layered on top of vast amounts of talent data in order to have a comprehensive view of the potential hidden gem opportunities for hiring or developing talent at scale. And that's actually something we've been working on at LinkedIn for a long time. This is one of the things that drew me to the company, was this vision that we were developing an economic graph, a digital representation of the global workforce to help companies find people and to help people find jobs. And today that economic graph is comprised of over 675 million members who represent the workforces of over 50 million companies. We have 20 million open jobs on the platform, 36,000 standardized skills in our taxonomy, and over 90,000 schools. And we're using that data to support our products in terms of helping hire, retain, and develop talent, as well as to support partnerships with governments, with non-governmental organizations, and with companies. You can see here, for example, a quote from the South African government, who we've been working with to help them use LinkedIn data to better understand and address the issue of youth underemployment in the country. And we've been sharing that data with companies as well, as some of you might be aware, via our insights analyst team who create customized reports for clients of ours. But one key trend that team has seen over the past couple of years is an exponential and unmatchable increase in demand for our data. And that's something that we're seeing more broadly in the market as well. In fact, a recent Burson study, I think, really well encapsulated this supply and demand gap when it comes to they were able to uncover that while over 70% of CEOs see talent as their competitive advantage, just 8% of HR organizations feel that they have usable talent data. That's a huge gap. And on the LinkedIn side, we've seen that reflected in a huge increase in demand on our insights analyst team, such that a couple of years ago, we were getting over 10,000 requests annually for their time, which was something that our team, as well as the recruiting team, just couldn't keep up with. What's more, LinkedIn realized there was an opportunity for us to democratize this data, to essentially put it into the hands of our clients directly, removing ourselves as the gatekeepers so that they could do their own analysis. And that's what led us to build LinkedIn Talent Insights, a self-serve data platform that allows you to have real-time visibility into LinkedIn's talent data. And that's also what led LinkedIn Talent Insights to be our fastest growing product in LinkedIn history. I was lucky enough to join this early on, and every day I work with clients who are using the LinkedIn data to help be more strategic advisors to their business partners, and also to ensure that their businesses are being full and reactive to ever-changing talent and competitive landscape. So what I'd like to do with the rest of my time today is just give you a little bit of a peek into the tool itself. And you can see here there are a couple of ways to query our data, essentially two types of reports. The first is a talent pool report, which gives you visibility into a specific group of interest based on skill set, job titles, functions, and more. And the second is the ability to look at a specific company's workforce and hiring trends, either peer companies or your own. So let's start with the talent pool report. And I'm going to use an example here actually from one of our users, Jakub, who works in talent attraction at Intel Poland. And Jakub works to support the engineering team, which was facing a shortage of programmers a little while back, but unfortunately hadn't allocated much recruiting budget towards that issue. Jakub felt like he could come up with an innovative solution, but in order to do so, he wanted to understand what the availability of that talent might look like outside of where their office was based in Gdansk, as he felt there might be opportunity to tap into other markets but he needed to understand that talent availability as well as the competitive landscape in other markets. So we'll start where Jakob would have, running a talent pool report search for the C and C++ talent in Poland. And you can see when we first generate the report, it will give us a bit of an overview of the country's talent on the whole, the number of professionals, how fast they're growing, how many have changed jobs. You can even see details on the right on the hiring demand based on how much recruiters are reaching out to this talent compared to the average LinkedIn member. And you could even drill down into gender diversity to understand if that was a priority, what markets or industries there might be an opportunity for more diverse hiring. But again, Jakob's focus was really on figuring out where to spend that very limited recruitment budget. And so he wanted to drill down into the locations to see where the talent is currently based. So here you can see the top two markets in Poland for C and C++ talent are Warsaw and Krakow, which are over twice as large as the Gdansk market, which is, again, where they were based. But one thing that Jakob noticed looking at this data was that the competition across the board is very intense, with very high hiring demand across both of the other top two markets, Warsaw and Krakow. So he actually came up with an innovative strategy based on thinking through how can we ensure that we're being best reactive to what the competitive reality is in each of those markets. So he drilled down first into Krakow, and by looking at this C and C++ talent in Krakow, and then navigating to look at the companies that were the top employers of this talent, he actually noticed something really interesting, which was that in Krakow, there was a sort of concentration of this talent among a couple of top employers here. For example, you see Aptiv has over 454 C and C++ skilled individuals in their workforce. He also could see the relative attrition rates of these companies to help direct his recruiting teams towards where they might be able to convert candidates more easily. But when he compared this data to the top employers in Warsaw, one of the interesting things that he noticed was that the Warsaw talent was much more dispersed. What's more, he actually knew a lot about the Krakow market. He was familiar with the fact that those top employers were all based physically in the same area. Their offices were near each other. So he came up with a really innovative solution, which was that he pitched to the engineering team to put up a billboard outside of the physical offices of those top employers in Krakow, based on the fact that that would sort of give them more bang for their buck. So ultimately, that led to a 20% increase in their career page traffic, thanks to this one initiative. I want to touch as well briefly on our company reports, which I think are especially top of mind as we're thinking about how quickly the competitive landscape is changing right now, given the circumstances. And again, this allows you to delve into the workforce and hiring trends of a specific company. We're going to use Flexus here, which is a fake company, but don't want to put anyone in particular on blast. So you'll see again here, we have some insights into how fast they're growing, what their attrition rate looks like. But I think one of the most common ways that companies are using this data, especially now, is to delve into their own attrition rates. And I imagine this is something most of you probably track quite closely internally as well. But the beauty of having this data and talent insights is that you can make a lot of different cuts. You could look, for example, just at the attrition rate among C and C++ skilled individuals, and you can compare that to your peers or to the broader industry. So really gives you a sense for where there might be a problem that is addressable and that needs to be taken on compared to what's happening in the broader industry. And a further step to this is that you can get visibility into that attrition rates impact and where those individuals are leaving your company to go to with talent flow data. For competitors, you can also see where they're hiring from, and that can help uncover some new potential sources of talent as well. And I want to wrap up just by saying I've heard a couple of mentions already about the focus of skills redeployment within companies. And that's something that we're hearing on the Talent Insights side as well, that company reports are being used more heavily right now to understand what your internal talent looks like, what their skill sets are, and where you might be able to potentially redeploy people on teams with projects that are inactive to places that are more strategic and active at the moment, given what's going on with coronavirus. So with that, I could talk about Talent Insights for hours, but I want to wrap things up and just say thank you for the time. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to visit the Talent Solutions, LinkedIn Talent Solutions chapter in the community site. And my colleague Ezra will be able to help answer them there. Thanks, Al.